All right, guys, here we are continuing the series of watching and talking about Last of Us Season 2. This will be episode 4. Hope everybody's having a good time out there and having good things, being safe. Let's just get into it, man. So, Matt, what did you think about episode 4 overall?
Oh, this was like a pretty thrilling episode. They keep you on the edge of your seat the whole time. It was good. It was crazy. Starting to see what they're up against. You know what I mean? Like these girls, I don't know if they have a chance, honestly, with what they showed, especially at the end of the episode. But I'm excited to see where it's going.
Yeah, I mean, I will agree with some of your points there. I thought they did put enough like stuff going on, like as far as things to make it a little more like exciting of an episode from episode 3. So I thought up a notch there. They're in Seattle. They're doing the thing of sneaking around. Then we even have clickers return and stuff in this episode. And I thought all that stuff was like really cool as they're trying to get away, and like all of a sudden the situation happens and stuff like that occurs that we'll talk about. But yeah, I thought this episode was better than episode 3. I do have one issue, and we may or may not like agree with the issue that I have, but we'll find out here in a second. So let's get into it. There in Seattle, we get a scene where we got one guy that's part of the Wolf organization and everything else as they're doing their, I guess, like reconnaissance or going around trying to make sure everything's cool. We find out that them and those people that we saw that were shot and killed and stuff like that in an episode before was part of this group called the Scars, and the Scars and the Wolves are against each other, uh, doing like combat and stuff like that. And we see this guy, he's one of like the leaders, like a sergeant or whatever. And there's some people walking up to this vehicle they're in. He gets out, he takes like one of the new guys. He's kind of questioning because he doesn't understand, like, hey, what's going on and all this stuff. He's like, hey, good training time. They go out there, come to find out, he knows the lady that comes up walking up to him, and he turns around, throws a couple of hand grenades into the vehicle they were just in the door, and things pursue from there. Like, what did you think about that particular moment?
Yeah, that was crazy to see. I didn't expect it, um, but I don't know. I was expecting something because when, like I said last week, I saw a thumbnail with that dude, Jeffrey Wright, I think the actor's name is, that was playing that character. And I like him a lot. So I was expecting something from his character. So yeah, that turn was cool.
Yeah. Now, the people that he goes up to is not actually the actual Scars. Like, he didn't walk up to Scars. So people's got to
No.
recognize that, because if they didn't, they would be confused. Because I'm going to be honest with you, like, I was thinking about it, and I did get confused there for a second, because we see that scene of him like turning on his own people basically, but it was just him turning on the soldiers because
Yeah.
he's actually hooking up with the people that they called like the voters.
Yep.
And those are just like regular people that live in the area, that's not part of the like military regime, that just live there. And they call them the voters because guess what, they don't get to vote anymore, and that's kind of like a slap to him. So he's like
Yeah.
there, and he's like really trying to support the regular people in the Seattle area and not this military regime kind of thing. So some people could get confused, because we do get a scene with that same character later on where he's got one of the actual Scars locked up in a place, and he's torturing the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And he bare naked. All right, the
Hmm.
Scar is the Scar is bare naked, bro. Um,
Yep.
I'm talking about all naked, because we see a penis, like straight up, like 100%. It's max, so they can do those kind of things and everything else. So, um, but yeah, so we are kind of skipping over a little bit, but we can go back and talk about like one or two of the things we saw before that. But like during that scene, I thought that was even done pretty well. I didn't really care about seeing a penis, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, it is what it is. I didn't get no warning. The camera turns around and there goes the dude.
Yeah, he didn't have to be naked. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Even
with
if
his
it, if
dangling
it would
hanging
have been a
out, bro.
woman,
His dangling was just hanging out, bro. It was
yeah,
like,
even if it would have been a woman, it's like she wouldn't have to be naked. You know what I mean?
yeah, I think there should be equal opportunity here. You know what I'm saying? Equal opportunity nudity. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna see the dong. Maybe we get something else. But anyway, with with that being said, we're that scene, I actually I enjoyed like what he was saying the whole time he was doing it. And he was talking about the differences of like cookware and everything else, and then like he made a point, and he goes over there and he like burns the back of this hand or whatever, tells him to stick his hand out there, and then he puts the bottom of the like frying pan that he had like up against the hand to like warm it, and he's basically puts it back on the fire and everything else, and he's like talking about how like some other stuff, and then he comes back and he's wanting a piece of information. The guy ain't gonna give it to him, and when he turns around, like for the second round of him grabbing that pan to burn like the other hand, the guy already has his hand out,
Yep.
and he realizes that that guy ain't saying shit, right? So he just
Yeah.
pulls out his gun at that point and kills the guy. I
Yep.
thought it was like an interesting way to do something like that because you don't see it very often where the guy that's in captivity or whatever being tortured, he's already doing what he knows to do. He's already doing
Yeah.
the next step. He's laying his hand out there for it to get burned as well. And as soon as you see that, if you're the person doing it to him, you're going to be realize this guy ain't saying shit.
Yeah.
He's not going to say nothing. I'm going to have to kill him. So he just kills him right then. So I thought that was overall pretty interesting. I thought his introduction as a character and stuff like that. I don't know how much we're going to get of him, honestly, but I thought his couple of scenes in the show was actually pretty good. I give him. You knew the name of the actor, I didn't, but yeah, I give him some props. He done pretty well in
Yeah.
that
He was on
particular role.
Westworld too. He was really good in that.
Uh, we have Ellie and Dana. They end up seeing like the big tower, and there's even a sign that tells them. So then they kind of get the idea of like, oh shit, we got to be a little more careful. We can't just be out here in the open like riding on horse because that's an easy spot that they can be spotted. So they start trying to look for somewhere to like basically post up and like hide away until it gets dark, and then they can do movements in dark because it'd be harder to see them and notice them. So that's what they do. They get into a place that's like a record store. It also sells. It looks like instruments and stuff. It had a drum set, uh, and it had guitars and stuff. Ailey obviously got taught how to play guitar by Joel for the first season and for the first game. Uh, I knew what was about to happen. They had it situated. The little spot they had looked pretty similar, like with the greenery and stuff coming through and everything else, as like the video game. Ellie sits down and starts playing a version of Take On Me, which I really enjoy. I don't think she does as good as the voice actress in the game as far as singing it. Now, I was a little bit surprised. She didn't sound very terrible. Like it wasn't like
Yeah, she was
Bella
pretty
Ramsey did pretty good. She did pretty decent on this particular scene. But how did you like that, man? How did you like them going through and like a music store like that's been like kind of abandoned for decades because of the virus?
Yeah, at first I was like, "What is this girl doing, hitting the drums and shit?" Like they're supposed to be quiet, and
That
she's
was a stupid moment. The first
yeah,
thing I said was the same thing. You are supposed to be quiet. You don't
yeah,
know. Maybe there are some of these people that are like sneaking around trying to find people that ain't going to be just riding around in vehicles making a lot of noise so that you're warned they're coming and
yeah,
everything else. And she starts beating the drum. I thought that was stupid. The guitar I can see because she plays it lightly. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? She's not like she's not hooking an amplifier up to it. But go ahead, Matt.
yeah. At first, so I was just like, "What's she doing?" But then they got away from that. And then when she walked upstairs, at first I thought it was the part where the same place where her and Joel saw the giraffe because it looked like the same cutout and shit, you know. Uh, so I thought she was gonna like get somber or something about that, but no, it was cool to see her perform that song. I liked it, and it was cool to see Dina react. You know, she was all in love with her.
Yeah, and that's a moment that's straight out from the video game. Like Dina comes up after she starts playing and stuff, and she like kind of sits down next to her, and they get a little emotional and everything, and have like a character moment there that I'm perfectly fine with, have no issue with it at all. Period. I do think Jesse's getting the shaft here, though. Oh, big man Jesse, the guy still back at I think what was it? What's that place called? Jacksonville, or whatever. But
Yeah,
like, so we move on. It gets night. They go out and basically trying to get closer to where they want to go. They do find they find a place. They're kind of staking it out. They find out, hey, we could go through a window here. It looks like somebody's already did it before. So they go and kind of copy that, trying to sneak around. And when they get in there, they see dead wolves and some of them were even hanging up there with their entrails hanging out, bro. What'd you think about
Yeah.
that? What'd you
Yeah.
think about that, Big Daddy Matt?
Yeah, and then you see the scars emblem, and they say like "Let her love in" or something like that, written in blood. You know, I was like, man, these guys are pretty gnarly. I see why he was so hard on that one. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, like you got to imagine this group of people. Maybe they're not the best, but they're a group of people that have these terrible things happening to them. So yeah, you got to be honest. Like he might have had that scene I was talking about where he's like torturing that one guy is really 100% like, hey, he could have had family or like maybe a best friend or something like that killed by this group of scars, and the way
Yeah.
they do it's like you said, pretty gnarly. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
because they're like I said, they're like hanging up above the ground, like
That's Predator style.
predator style. Yeah, you're right. Like with their intestines hanging out. And then while they're there, some of the wolves show up. They notice the dead. Ellie and them like hide. They try to get away, but the wolves are able to detect them. Ellie's the one that gets kind of spotted. He still don't really get spotted, but like there's a noise, so the guy goes and investigate, and Ellie is able to jump on the back. And then one of the other guys shows up and is about to take Ellie out, and then Dina shows up behind him and shoots him in the head, which then causes.
That part right there, though, I was glad that she ended up killing him with the knife because at first I thought they were gonna have her choke him out, and I was gonna be like, come on, man, like even when she was on his back, he got up with her. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't have as big of an issue with this scene as I had at that first scene that we seen like in episode 1, where she's beating a guy that's like 3, 4, or 5 times bigger than her, like and everything else, and putting the guy in the armbar. The only thing I would say in this one is like even if it wasn't a guy, just say like a bigger woman, they would literally when she jumped on the back, all they have to do is slam their own like just go back as hard as they can, and you're gonna like hurt who, especially someone her size, she's going to get hurt.
yeah,
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, whenever she jumps on the back and she's trying to do the neck, the first thing you do is you just literally slam your own body down as hard as you can with them on your back, and they're going to get like hurt in a lot of ways, especially if you outweigh the person that's doing that. But
yeah,
like I said, I didn't have as big of an issue with this. She did get the drop, she did get the surprise or whatever, and uh, you know, and she was going to get taken. She was going to get taken out if it wasn't for Dina. Dina shows up, shoots the one guy, she stabs the other one because she had already like planned on doing that. Uh, and then they get out of a window or whatever it is to try to get to safety, and then the other wolves are chasing them. Then they end up going into the subway. Now, this is another thing I thought was kind of stupid. Uh, they're crawling in that hole, and the reason for it is they can't follow us because they're bigger than we are, which
yeah,
makes sense because it's most of them are bigger dudes coming at them, so they're not going to be able to crawl in the same space these smaller women are crawling through, which makes total sense. But the part that don't make sense to me is that they had the wolves too close to them, so they're barely getting through the hole. They can't traverse that really fast.
yeah,
You're going to go only so. So when they look into the hole, because of how close they were to it, like you literally shoot bullets, you can't miss them.
yeah,
They could have killed them right then
yeah,
because it shows them looking in the hole, making their comments. Then we cut to them finally getting to the end of the hole on the other side of the wall or whatever it is or tunnel, and they come out into the subway or whatever that's below Seattle. And the guys are like, "Hey, we got to get them on the south exit." So they're trying to like sneak around. Then we have the wolves show up, and because it's dark in there, obviously they start throwing flares out in random spots, which makes sense. They could get eyesight and everything else on what they're trying to do. Uh, and they're just kind of walking around trying to find these girls that just killed one or two of their people. And the flares, they show a shot of one of the flares up underneath the train, and you see the tentacles starting to move around a little bit. So
yeah,
then you know what's about to happen. And we get a pretty damn cool action scene right here of the clickers coming out of nowhere. Big group of them start taking out the wolf people. There's too many of them to like overcome. They get in a train, which I thought was a really cool sequence of them like being inside the train, and they're
yeah,
connected still, even though it's laying on its side and stuff. So they're able to still like move around the different cars, and they're trying to get away. And then the clickers is already taking care of the wolf. They start shaking the actual trains themselves, like trying to get in. They do start breaking through. They get through one of the roof hatches or whatever that's in the subway, like a little safety thing. They get up through the top. They're running away. Uh, they come up to some turnstiles, and they're like all obviously like overgrown with some bushes and stuff, but also they're probably rusted up from not being used and everything. So it's hard for it to turn. They get it to turn at the right moment, right before these zombies and shit get to them. But right before they get through there, one of the zombies is there. It's about to get Dina and everything else, and Bella Ramsey Ellie throws her arm out there to try to like shove it off. But as she does that, that zombie, the clicker, bites her, and you can see it on Dina's face, like, oh my god, she just got bit. Uh, but they're able to get away because Dina's able to like shoot the one off of her. She's able to get to
Yeah.
her gun and shoot it, and they get through. Then the rest of the zombies and clickers and shit start hitting the thing, and they can't get through at that moment. So they get the hell out of Dodge, get there, and then they find them a place to like. They find a place to hole up. You can see Dina being really cautious. She's staying behind Ellie at this point, and they do find a place that's like they just come up to a bigger building and they're like, hey, we got to find somewhere to hide and hide out and everything else. And that's what they do. They get into this big building that has a couple of chairs and stuff there. And we have that. Well, all the way up to that point, man, what did you think about that sequence with the clickers and stuff? And what happens to Ellie in front of Dina?
Yeah, it was intense. I I didn't think either of them were gonna die or anything like that, but it was yeah, it was intense because fucking they were close, man. There was a shit ton of those things in there. You know what I mean? They were in trapped corners, fucking trying to get away. And I think Ellie put her arm out on purpose to take the bite because she knew that that thing was gonna bite Dina.
Oh,
So
yeah, no doubt. I
yeah,
think she was trying to push the thing away, but like her real thing was, I'm throwing something out there. I would rather that thing bite me than her kind of situation as
yeah,
well. I think it was like a kill two birds with one stone. I'm going to try to push it off, but if that don't work, hopefully it bites me. Like she's not going to like she didn't try to rip her arm away from her or anything. She
mm,
just kind of let it happen, but that was to protect Dina.
yeah,
We all know as people watching the show, the Dina character doesn't know, but we all know that she's immune to it. So it's not that big of a thing her getting bit, right? The bigger thing would be if Dina gets bit. Well, they're at that big building because I totally agree. I think that whole scene right there was done well. I think it was fun watching them run through the trains and everything. It was intense. I thought it was done really well. So they get there at this building, and Ellie turns around and sees Dina with her pistol out and pointing it at her. And then Dina's like, or not, well, not Dina, but Ellie's like, hey, 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 everything will be okay. I'm going to put my hands up. You can see I'm not shaking or anything. I'm going to go sit on that chair and I'm going to put something around my wound and I'm going to go to sleep in the chair and I'm going to wake up and you can sit right there with the gun pointed at me and you're going to know that I haven't changed or anything like that.
mm,
Now, the one thing I thought was really dumb in this moment, which I can overlook because in this particular thing, was Ellie has multiple bite wounds.
yeah,
She has one on that same arm that Dina sees later because she's wearing short sleeves anyway. At that point, because I think she's wearing like long sleeves to try to hide everything, but I think she takes that off so she can dress the wound. And then she's also got the one from earlier this season in her stomach. So she's got literally two bite scars to show Dina at that moment, right? Of like, listen, somehow I'm immune. Like, I know you saw me get bit, but let me show you. I'm gonna lift up my shirt to let you see my stomach, and I got bit because they were literally together when she got bit the last time. Just Dina didn't see that one. And
yeah,
she's like, this is where I got bit when me and you were in that place. This is another time where I got bit where I kind of burnt myself to try to hide the bite marks or whatever in it. Uh, but hey, I'm cool. I've been bit twice. Nothing's happened. Like, to me, that would have just been, I don't know why you wouldn't have done that in that situation.
yeah. No, I felt the same way. I thought she was gonna do that, but whatever. Dina gave her the time.
Dina gave her the time. We have a spot where some water drips on Ellie's face and she wakes up and Dina's still sitting there and she's got a flashlight pointing at her, still got the gun out and everything else. She's not totally 100% trusting it and whatever. And I feel like this is Like, even though Ellie hadn't turned as fast as maybe some others, maybe there's some reason why Ellie doesn't turn as fast. So,
Yeah.
like, she's still being careful. I understand that 100%. Ellie still talks a little bit. They talk to each other about a couple things. Sorry, I've been sick the last couple days, guys. So, coffee. But, like, I was, I was, I was cool with all that. They're having a discussion, like I said, about the whole situation. Ellie explains a little bit more and everything. Dina puts the flashlight down so that Ellie will be able to see her. They talk a little bit more. She's got like a lantern that she's holding up for some light, but it's not blinding Ellie because there for a little while Ellie couldn't even see Dina. She was just kind of talking to a flashlight, and then you can see the emotion on on Dina's face, where like she's like tearing up and everything else. And then out of nowhere, she lets Ellie know. Dina lets Ellie know she's pregnant.
Yep.
I already had guessed from the first thing. I technically already knew, but it was like obvious to me that first time she puked. She had seen like she admitted she had seen things that was as bad or maybe even worse than what she just saw, and it never made her puke before. And then all of a sudden it's doing it, and everything else. I think that they had a spot earlier in the episode. It even makes sense why she would even have, because later, a little bit later, we see that she had a pregnancy test, and she was actually trying to get some things. She picked them up there. So that part of the writing made sense and everything else. But what happens afterwards, I don't know if you're going to agree with me or not. And before I say what I'm going to say, because some people's they just watch, if this is the only episode they watch of us breaking down any of these episodes or whatever, it's going to automatically assume that I'm a whatever, right? Because like what I'm about to say. In episode 3 of the first season, I watched it. And I said, and I still believe that that particular year, that episode of season 1 of Last of Us uh, was probably the best love story told that year. And it was about two gay men, right? I even admitted, man, like, hey, I'm not into that stuff. It's not for me. I don't care what other people do. So I'm watching the show, and there was a couple moments where I felt like a little bit uncomfortable, but the uncomfortable likeness of watching that episode wore off as the story was being told as good as it was, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So like then it didn't. I didn't feel a certain way a period or whatever. It is what it is. But the thing that bothers me here, and I just wanted to preface that because people's going to automatically think, "Oh, you're just mad because it's two girls making out and making love to each other." Situation. That's why you don't like it. No, I don't like this scene because you literally have someone who is just bit, and then the other one just busts out another piece of big news that she's pregnant, and you immediately go to that.
Yeah. I don't know.
Both of those two pieces of information is not going to make me want to make love to the person I'm with at that time. Like, I don't care
Yeah.
who you are. Like, you have someone that's bit. You think they're okay because they haven't turned as fast as others. You've got to not. This is something you haven't encountered before. It's not like there's other people that are immune, and,
Yeah.
and Ellie's not the only one. Ellie's the only one. So if you're in Dina's position, yeah, it's weird, and maybe you're starting to believe Dina, right? Or believe Ellie when she's telling her that stuff. But it ain't even been 1 day, 24-hour period. Like, I would be okay more with this if it was like a day later, right? Like another day
Yeah.
passed, and then this happens because I could feel Dina being more comfortable. The wound seems to be healing. It doesn't do, but you're not even in like, I don't know how long she slept, but it's the same night. So I'm gonna assume
Yeah.
it's only like a couple of hours or so at tops, 6 hours, period. And the fact that you say I'm pregnant, like I even get being happy and supporting your friend, but to go into a love making scene after both of those things, directly after both of those things are happening, it's just I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like if this was another night that passed and this went on, the same scene went on, I wouldn't give two
Yeah.
shits.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree with me, but like I just thought that was kind of a dumb thing to throw in there that particular night with all the chaos that happened. You almost die. You have your friends bit, and you don't know what's going on completely. And then you're also throwing in the I'm pregnant situation. Like,
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, that is a little weird. Like, cause yeah, like you said, if it would have been like a couple days later, like I understand. Yeah, they want to get it on and something. I don't know. But even that, like if they're in the enemy territory and shit, I don't know why they're trying to get it on too. You know what I mean? Because it's like you're gonna be
well, I can
trapped.
understand that if you think you're only going to possibly live a day or two. They see that there's going to be hard to do what they got to do. They might feel, hell, shit, tomorrow might be my last night. I understand why you would do the action. It's just when they do it, it just doesn't make sense to me because, like I said, you got two things happening here. When someone tells you they're pregnant, like the first thing that you start doing is making love to each other. I could understand giving a kiss or something, right? Like, I, it's just weird. It's just a weird reaction to me. Your bit, I don't know completely. I'm starting to believe you because nothing's happened yet, and usually it does happen. But and I just told you that I'm pregnant, and then we're gonna go to the I don't know. Like what did my I guess my thing is like I get happiness and joy for the person, kind of, right? Like because like someone gives you the news that they're pregnant, you're happy, and I get like celebrating with them and everything. But I
Actually, you
don't.
know what though? I think she told her the next day, Justin.
No, she told her they talk about it when they wake up,
Yeah.
but she literally says, "I'm pregnant," right before they start kissing each other,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't remember.
and I'm just like, that just kind of like threw me, bamboozled me
I
right
just
there.
remember her saying like we're having a baby and
Like,
shit.
I just want to make
Yeah.
it clear, I would be saying the exact same thing if Dina was Danny, not our Danny. That was just I just said that name because it starts with a D, and it's a common name, but not to be infused with our uh, Danny that helps us with the channel. But if it was like a guy named Danny and then Ellie, I would still have an issue with this because it's like, bro, she just got bit. And like, let's say if it would have been opposite where she's bit and she's like admitting she's pregnant. My first thing as a reaction as a friend is not to be like, let's make love. Like, Marvin Gaye doesn't get turned on at that moment. They're
Yeah.
what I'm saying? This is kind of weird reaction to happen to me. But
Hmm.
off of that, I just had to point that out. That was probably my weakest part of the episode. It just didn't feel right. Like even if they were like kind of cuddling each other because it's like in Seattle, so it might be cold or whatever, and they wake up in the morning and she's still not turned and all this stuff, and maybe they talk about a couple of things. I mean, I would have probably been maybe a little bit more uh, with it, but it was just like those two things, and then they immediately do that. It is what it is. They wake up the next morning, they don't like morning breath, so they put some beef jerky in their mouth,
Yeah.
make their breath, I guess, better, so they can kiss again and everything else. And they go outside. They see where they're probably going to try to go,
Well, they
and
hear the radio, right?
yeah, they hear like them talking about where they're at and stuff. They stole like one of the
And they
radios,
hear what's her name's name over the radio.
and they're like, yeah, they'll know where they're at. So they're trying to find a place. They go outside and they're able to see like the building, but it's still a pretty good ways away from where they're at. So they still have to make somewhat of a journey to get there and everything. And you got this look on the face of like they're still not sure. Do they turn back now? Do they keep going? Abby's going to keep going, but because of the news that she just got, that she was told like that night of Dina being pregnant, she uh, says you might want to go back. Like this is it's different, and then Dina's still wanting to go and do the thing. So that's going to be where I guess we're going to pick off in the next episode of them trying to make it to where Abby is through Seattle, which I think can be fun and stuff because, like I said, this episode was pretty fun as well and all that. But like, that's where we ended up as. So,
Hmm.
how do you think it ends? Are you excited for the next episode?
Yeah, but like I said, man, after seeing like that those big ass explosions and how far they got to go and shit, I'm like, how I don't know how these two girls can make it. You know what I mean? With all the people and equipment these other guys got, and there's scars out there too. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, the only way they're gonna pull it off and make it even sort of believable is them two groups fighting each other, so they're able to sneak through because they're both distracted by the thing they're trying to do.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like you're kind of going to be in the middle of a war zone, and maybe because they're distracted, they're able to sneak around and stuff like that, and maybe not be as seen because the other groups are distracted.
yeah, and then there's clickers too, though.
Yep, and all this noise and stuff.
Yep.
We know they got clickers there. All this noise and shit's going to possibly bring the clickers out, like in that area. Like I don't think the
Yeah,
clickers are smart enough to be like, "Yo, they got bombs. We might need to hang out." They're just going to come, and we
yeah,
know they're there because they all didn't get killed in that scene that we saw earlier. So it'll be interesting. You're going to have the clickers, you're going to have the scars, you're going to have Wolf, you're going to have them trying to make it. So I think it could be pretty fucking exciting from
yeah.
this point on, like especially in this next episode, unless they do like a flashback, which I assume they're going to do soon. Because we just watched the fourth episode. I think this season only has 7 episodes. We literally only have 3 episodes left.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, we only have 3 episodes left in this season, 5, 6, and 7. That's all we got left.
I didn't know
So I think they're going to end it at a certain situation. I don't know exactly what they're going to do, even though I know the game, and I try not to spoil things like before people that haven't seen the game or haven't looked at the story from the game. But yeah, it's
that.
going to be pretty interesting where they stop it at, and according on what they do, you thought. I mean, people are already upset about Joel. Shit, bro. They might even be more upset before it's all over. You know what I'm saying? That's the one thing
Hmm.
I do kind of like about this show is like, you're right. Bella Ramsey seems to have plot armor, but you don't know about Dina, right?
Yeah,
Like that's the thing. You don't know about Dina or some of these other people either. Like if they have plot armor as well, because you just saw them kill the main character like in episode 2. So from now on, all gloves are off anybody's life. I mean, yeah, I would assume because they took Joel out, they're not going to take Bella out. They're not going to take Ellie out because you've already taken out the other main character. But besides that, man, you're probably sitting there going like, "Oh shit, anybody's head could be on the chopping block from here on out."
yeah.
All right, man. Any last words? What do you give this episode right here as far
I
as a
give it
rating?
like an 8, probably. It was really good. Yeah, I'd like to see where the story goes. In my opinion, they got no chance though, but we'll see.
Mine, I might have went to A plus on this episode if it wasn't for a couple of things. Um, nah, I probably wouldn't have went A plus. I probably would have went straight A, like right there in the middle. But I'm gonna go A minus, B plus in that range. Just because a couple of the things that I thought that they should have cleaned up, like why is she playing the fucking drums?
Yeah,
Why are you doing that? And then, like I said, it just didn't make sense to have that scene, the love making scene where they did it. I wished it would have been like a day later or something, so that you could have Dina being more comfortable with the fact that Ellie got bitten, but it doesn't like changing, so that breathe a little more before you jump into that. And it just doesn't make sense for someone to say, "Hey, I'm pregnant," and that be your first reaction. That usually that's
yeah.
a grab your friend in a big old hug and like jump around and squeal a little bit with them. You know what I'm saying? And but even with that
Also,
being
too,
said, this
especially when you know that that girl's straight, you know what I mean, and you're gay, like you wouldn't think like, oh well, I'll go after her. Now. You know what I mean?
well, I think Dina's the one that made like the move, so that part of it doesn't
Yeah,
bother me. And like she even comes out, we hear more of her story where she's like, uh, thought she might have been at least bisexual or gay at one point, but her mom was always saying, no, you like guys and stuff. And that's why she kept, even though her mom's gone, she kept trying to, do what her mom kind of like pushed her into and stuff like that. I think that's a pretty cool, like little character arc there for that. But like I said, when you just tell, that just ain't like to me, like, so let's take the pregnancy part out of it. Let's take the her being bit. Let's say they get out of there, everybody's unscathed. Ellie didn't get bit at that moment and stuff, and they get to this place and they're kind of looking at each other and they're coming to terms of shit. This might be our last night. And then they do that, I'm perfectly fine. It was just weird because of the information that has evolved around it with the bite and with the pregnancy thing. Because like the
Yeah,
pregnancy thing's even different nowadays. Like you might not be happy you're pregnant during this time.
yeah,
Think about how hard it's going to be for you to like survive. Now, if you were in Jackson, right? If you were in Jackson and you thought you were safe and the town didn't almost get overrun recently, so you thought you were in a pretty safe thing and you were feeling super comfortable, like uh, anybody would be happy. And I could also still see you being happy at this time for it, but that's not a foregone conclusion that you're happy.
yeah.
Like
Well, and
I add
also,
something to the story, and I don't hate like it happening. I just don't like the fact of the things that went in order here. Like I just wish there was it was just done a little differently. Is all I'm saying.
yeah. I mean, she was taking a huge risk because I mean, even pregnant, even though she's not showing it, just being pregnant, like running around like that and climbing through shit, you know what I mean? Like, they're
Well,
dangerous to the
see,
baby and shit.
I understand why she went on the journey because she didn't realize she was pregnant first, right? You know what I'm saying? Like she didn't realize she was pregnant,
Yeah,
and so I get why she went on the journey. But once you realize you're pregnant, your friend, even though you love them and stuff, and maybe you want to be with them and stuff and all that kind of stuff, like you're in love, not just love them as a friend. You're in love, obviously, as it seems like they are with each other. Like your friend gets bit, and you're pregnant, and you know it now. She knew it at that point, and you start kissing the person that could get infected.
yeah,
Like, or really, is that like the best thing to do? Like when you know you're pregnant, you know what I'm saying? Like that's like the dumbest thing in the world to do. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe you can't get it. Like, if
yeah. Who knows?
right, exactly. She seemed to be happy about the pregnancy, right? That she's going to have a baby. Like, she seemed happy
Mhm.
about the news that that was going to happen. She wasn't sad or solemn about it or anything like that. She acted like, oh yeah, like this is going to be a cool thing or whatever. And they even talk about it in the morning, and she's like cool with it, and like, um, you know, uh, Ellie's like even talking about, oh, we have a baby, and she's like,
Mhm.
we all have a baby because they add Jesse in there and everything else because he's obviously the one that she's pregnant by. Like it throws some cool things into the story, but it's like, girl, you know you pregnant, you're gonna kiss somebody that just got bit by one of those things,
Yeah,
like, and it's not even been a day, like that. It's just
yeah.
that's my
So
score
she
went
may
down a
be
little bit.
immune, but that shit could live in her system for a little bit or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. Like she may be immune, but what if you like kiss her and the stuff's floating through her system and it doesn't make her turn, but like some of that stuff's going through there, like and everything else.
Well,
Like
yeah, in her bloodstream
even
once she
even
gets
if
bit.
listen, even if you know that technically you can't like that they've done a lot of tests, it's been a few years, they've learned more about the disease and everything that you get when you get bit by the clicker and everything else, and they learn more about why you turn and all that. Like you gotta be like still not super comfortable, even when you know the rules, right?
Yeah,
Because yeah, everything went to shit. So there's not like these true 100% doctors and stuff out there that can do a bunch of stuff that they could have done, like, in today's time, for instance, to know exactly every little thing. Like, you gotta be a little careful, man. That just kind of threw me for a loop. I said, I'm gonna go with a final B plus, and you said you giving it like an 8.
yep.
All right, we still enjoy this show. We still going through there. I enjoyed the episode overall. Like I said, still gave it a B plus. Dropped it a couple of little points there, because like I said, there's a couple of things that happened during this episode that I'm like, come on, man, come on, man, what are you doing? But it did not destroy the series. It hasn't destroyed the show or anything with that how it goes. But hey, we're gonna get out of here. Me and Matt will be with you next week to talk about episode 5.
Hmm.
Until then, don't get bit.